Welcome to Comfort Zone, a podcast all about pushing your host, well, outside of their comfort zone. I'm Christopher Lawley, and each week I am joined by two incredible co-hosts, but one of them might slander you on another show. As always, I'm joined by Matt Birchler. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm feeling good because I don't think you're talking about me.
I am not. Ed, we are also joined by Neeleon the Slanderer. Neeleon, how are you doing?
I did no such thing.
Well, we have a bit of follow-up here, and a quote that I believe Matt put in the show doc. Actually, it could have been Neeleon that could have put it in the show doc. I have no idea who did. But the quote is, Neeleon is the best host of Comfort Zone, Federico Viticci, 2024.
Wise words.
And this is from as the time of recording the most recent App Stories, but as you're hearing it, it was 2. So, if you wanted to call in for this one, you should have called in for the previous one. It's all confusing. Anyways, Matt, how do you feel about the slander that was thrown at us on App Stories?
I don't know if anything was thrown at me necessarily.
Well, I mean, that quote, we'll get to me. I feel like I got the brunt of it. But
yeah,
just this quote right here, Neeleon is the best host of Comfort Zone. I mean,
I have always
favorites.
At best, I'm the number 2 here. So this is not a surprise to me.
See, I'm hurt. I'm deeply hurt. Thought Federico and I had a bond, iPad stuff, stage manager woes, but
He did say you were a great guy. Come on.
Yeah. And then really really hurt me with the Dr. Pepper stuff and the Mustang. I'm just kidding. It was actually really funny. I got a whole kick out of it. It was literally the best summary of me. I don't like Daft Punk. I love Dr. Pepper and my Mustang.
The not liking Daft Punk is too much of your personality. We should try to tone that down.
Apparently, I'm the only person a part of Mac Stories that either doesn't like Daft Punk or has the courage, I say, to stand up and actually admit they are not good. But your App Stories appearance, that episode was very, very good. Everyone should go check it out. We will make sure there's a link in the description below, but you probably have already listened to it. If you haven't, go do it because it was very good. Anyways, we should move on. Matt, you have a couple other things in the follow-up section. What do you got for us?
I do. I have 2 very quick things. Number 1 is in episode 19, which was 3 episodes ago, just 3 weeks ago, I recommended people check out Omnivore, which turned out to be terrible advice because they are now shutting down. They're shutting down.
Well done, Matt. Well done.
I know. Ruined them. This is actually Connected-esque in photo apps services being discontinued. But yeah, they're shutting down November 16th of 2024, and you can export your data by then if you want, but they're being acquired by 11 Labs, I think, who does some voice-to-speech stuff. So kind of a bummer, but yes, had to.
Are we going to be one of those cursed podcasts like Connected where every few weeks we bring up something and it gets replaced right away?
This is the first thing I know of.
Well, my Sonos
potentially
stuff.
Cursed. Oh, and the Sonos. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a great trend.
Yeah, it's not. And those were all fairly recent episodes. In fact, was that the same episode?
Checking. No.
Okay. All right. Cool.
But close.
All right. Yeah. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. The second thing to follow up, a couple weeks ago, I talked about unsubscribing from a whole bunch of feeds and how it made my life quieter and my RSS much slower. I have since re-added 9 to 5 Mac and The Verge to my RSS readers because I was out of the loop. I was not getting all the information I wanted. So yeah. Added a few more just to get those fire hoses of data coming in, especially this week when all the MacBook stuff was happening and all the Mac announcements. I was missing so much on social media alone. So this was very, very helpful. So anyway, wanted to mention that one because Comfort Zone is about getting out of your comfort zone, trying different things, and not everything works and isn't forever. So yeah. Just wanted to comment on that one.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I think the whole point of getting out of your comfort zone isn't necessarily us switching to Android phones, but it's experimenting and trying new things and stuff like that. So I love that you were able to admit that you were wrong and you went back. That
Matt,
sounded way more harsh than I meant it to be.
Matt, are you drinking out of a Lego head?
I am.
Okay, you are.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's a delightful little cup. It's like $10.
Is it from the Lego website?
Yes.
Okay.
They have a
Cool.
couple varieties, and if you want, you can stack them together like actual Legos.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. Okay, I'm throwing out all of our coffee cups and mugs and stuff and replacing them with those. Not really. I'll probably just buy 2. But yeah, that's awesome. All right. So for the main part of the show, I wanted to talk about Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence just came out. I'm specifically thinking we stick to 18.1. I actually haven't installed 18.2 because I am still working on like an Apple Intelligence tips and tricks video. This week has just been an utter disaster. Everything is behind right now. But I wanted to talk about like my favorite features of Apple Intelligence. I've been very publicly and very vocal about not being the biggest AI fan, and that the way some of this data was collected is not great, and the environmental side of everything and all that stuff. But I want to take a break from that and just talk about some of the stuff that I've really been enjoying using with 18.1. And if you guys have stuff, please feel free to jump in. I know, Nelian, it's not, you don't have Apple Intelligence on iOS and iPadOS, but you have it on the Mac, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's all confusing on how it's all rolling out and stuff like that. But the feature I wanted to start with is reduce interruptions. Have either of you used this?
Yes, I like it a lot.
So the funny thing is, I've got it as an option on my iPhone 14 Pro.
What?
Which is not supposed to feature Apple Intelligence.
Yes. This is what happened to me too.
Yeah. You turn it on and it doesn't do anything.
Oh.
Yes. Because it can't figure out, it mutes everything, but then it doesn't figure out what's important. So it's just do not disturb, basically.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
they shipped it for some reason and doesn't do anything. And it's got the Apple Intelligence logo.
That's weird. You would think like on non-Apple Intelligence devices like the 14 Pro, which isn't supposed to be able to get Apple Intelligence at all because of RAM. You would think they would just like default back to do not disturb. But that's weird that they create a whole that's weird.
It's a syncing nightmare, I'm sure, from their perspective. But yeah, that happened to me when I was using Apple Intelligence when the first betas rolled out. And then I wasn't getting much value out of it, so I turned it off to see if I missed anything. And that I was just like, why am I getting nothing on my phone? And that was the reason.
Interesting. Yeah, so I really like reduce interruptions. For the most part, it does a really good job at figuring out, okay, this is something you need to see right now. This other stuff, not so much. But the weird thing about it is, and I don't know why it thinks this, my girlfriend's mom, reduce interruptions seems to think everything she sends me is a priority, and it's not.
But it is.
It could be.
Yeah.
It's not. It's really not. But for some reason, she always gets through. She's the only one that always gets through. Danielle, my girlfriend, she sometimes gets through, but when she does, it's usually important stuff like, hey, we need to go and do this thing, or we need to pay this bill, or whatever, like really important things that get through. But my girlfriend's mom always breaks through, and I don't really know why. Luckily, she doesn't text a ton, so it's not that big of a deal, but I don't know why every single one of her messages comes through. She's not in you can go in and set up like the always allow list. She is not in there.
Don't question the robot. It knows what it's doing. It's trying to save you.
But for the most part, because I only really work from 2 devices, my iPad Pro and my iPhone, and both of those have Apple Intelligence, the Reduce Interruptions does a great job syncing between the 2. I don't really ever see some stuff get through on one device and another. Like it does a really good job at staying in sync, so I really like that. But I think my favorite feature of Apple Intelligence is the fact that they gave Type to Siri a dedicated interaction. So on the iPhone, you can double tap the like the home bar, and you could do the same thing with the iPad, and you can get Type to Siri. But if you have a keyboard attached to your iPad, and I'm going to go ahead and assume it's the same thing on the Mac, you can hit Globe S, and it'll bring up the Type to Siri bar. I absolutely love this. I love typing to Siri. I love interacting with it that way. And did I do something?
Matt is discovering the feature as you said it.
No, you were mentioning the Mac. It wasn't the shortcut I expected. On the Mac, you can hit Command twice, and it brings it up as well.
What?
But Globe S works too.
It's a setting, actually. It's a new setting on the Mac.
Oh, interesting.
Hitting Command twice on the iPad doesn't do that. That's very weird that they are not in sync there.
That is very weird. Also, like I just updated the computer I'm using right now for this recording to 18.1 or whatever, 0.1, and it, on first boot, it told me about the command shortcut. It didn't tell me anything about Globe S.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, no, if you hold down, like double tap Command doesn't do anything on the iPad. Globe S is how you get to Type to Siri. That's very weird. Interesting. A few episodes ago, Leon and I talked about how we were kind of surprised that they didn't just bake Type to Siri into Spotlight, and I really think that would have been a much better option. Just have one text bar pop up, and you can do Siri commands. You can do, or you can search for local files or apps and stuff like that, and open things up. I don't know why they didn't do it, but overall, I really like Type to Siri. Like, I was asking it questions about Formula One the other day, and even though Siri isn't improved, like it's not the new Siri we're waiting for, it's just like UI improvements. The one thing that they did change is that you can do follow-up questions, and this can either be with Voice Siri or with Type to Siri. And what was nice is I was asking it questions about, like, when's the next Formula One race? Okay, what are the team standings? What are the driver standings? And it was pulling all of that stuff up. We're also planning a trip to San Francisco later this month, and which reminds me, I think I need to talk to you guys about that. But I was just asking it about like places to eat in areas and stuff like that, and it was just following up on my previous commands, which overall I really like. Have you guys been playing around with the new Siri stuff, like Type to Siri or even the follow-up stuff?
I haven't. Mine literally just does a Google search every single time.
Yeah, same here. I was about to say, on the Mac, I ask it anything, and most of the time it either says I don't understand, or it just pops up search results.
Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely still old Siri. It's not any smarter, except for the fact that you can just follow up stuff, which is nice. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised Apple put the new UI for Siri in this release. I really think they should have waited until like 0.4 or whatever it is, where like all the actual Siri improvements are coming. Because what's going to end up happening is people are going to think this is the new Siri and be like, "Oh, this is just as dumb as the last one," and they're not going to use it. So I'm kind of surprised they put that in there.
I've seen a lot of people have that reaction in my real life as well. My wife is like, "Oh, it's the new Siri. It's smarter," and it's not. It's the same.
Yeah.
Have you seen in this week's one of the free kind of keynote videos that Apple released for the new Macs? I think in the Mac Mini one, when talking about the Siri, the new Siri, in the newest version of Sequoia shipping on these Macs, they mentioned at some point that you can ask Siri to bring up your passport to fill it in on a web page, and I'm like, what? Is that a feature? Are they lying here? Is that a thing?
Can you add your passport to the wallet?
Is it in like contacts? I don't know if
I have no idea. Is it from your photos? Is it from your documents? And it feels so smart in the video, like. Mm-hmm. They're just typing, bring up my passport, and it shows up in the Siri window on the Mac in the corner, and the person is just able to fit it in on the web page. And I was like, that's not a feature. You're lying. What is this? but maybe, I don't know. If I try to ask anything like that to my Siri, it's just going to give me Google search results. So I don't know what's going on.
I mean, I know it can do stuff like fill in, your address and phone number and stuff like that, but
that's autofill tech from 1995.
Like that. None of that stuff is interesting.
Yeah,
Weird.
I think it's in the Mac Mini video.
I was too distracted. They announced automatic captions in Final Cut, and I was like, my life is going to get better once they ship this. Oh, I'm so happy.
I'm hoping that's coming to the iPad version as well. Apple is doing the Final Cut Pro conference, the Final Cut Summit later this month in November. I spoke at it last year. I passed on doing it this year just because there really isn't anything new in the editing wise between last year and now. There really isn't anything that different about Final Cut Pro for the iPad on the editing side. All the new features have been on the capture side. While that's great, I don't really use those, so I'm kind of hoping we get some big editing features later this month, or maybe later this year or whatever, whenever it actually ships. So yeah, that'll be cool. But getting back to Siri, have you guys tried the notification summaries, or have you used the notification summaries, or if you have, what is your experience with those? Because for me, they've been good, but they can be very hit and miss.
So on my Mac, which is the only place where I can see those, it's funny because only English is supported, right? So I only have those notifications when I get messages from you or from the Mac Stories crew. Because otherwise it's all in French, and it doesn't try to do anything with those messages. Or Ivory, yeah. Most of my Mastodon activities in English. So yeah, Ivory notifications get summarized as well. And I'm always seeing the same things. I don't know how to explain this, and I try to think about this, but it's a bit irrational. But I think the way that it's formatted with the semicolons and the tone, it makes me feel like every notification is the same. Because I think it's because it's one step away from the actual content. And I don't know, something with my brain is just detaching itself from what I'm seeing on screen. And I think, if those roll out to French as well and they apply to all my notifications, I don't think I'm keeping this on just because of this.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually have the opposite opinion of them.
Okay.
We are not a monolith. I like them a lot. So I really do like them. Like smart home accessories are really nice because there'll be like a list of them, and it'll summarize those instead of just being like on, off, closed, open, on, whatever. Like it summarizes those nicely. I do like when a group thread is, I mean, this is kind of the cliche use case, but it is very good to get an idea for what people are talking about in a thread. That is useful. I have seen a few people comment on how these are useless because you still have to read the messages, or you still, like the email summaries, you still have to read the email. And I get that, but I do kind of like the idea of having a preview of what is going on, and then you can jump in and see the details if you need them. And if it's not something you're interested in at the moment, you can kind of ignore it. It's like subject lines of emails, right? It's kind of the same deal. You still have to read the email even if you read the subject line, unless it's the emails Chris and I get a lot, which are paid collaboration with the money bag logo emoji. That's straight to the bin. But I do like the summaries quite a bit. Those are actually, for me, the best Apple Intelligence feature, I think.
I don't think it's the best, but I think it's up there. When they work great. When somebody, like if you have a group message or a group thread going off, whether it's Discord or messages or whatever, and the subject stays the same, it does great. When people are bouncing around to different subjects, like it was happening in the Mac Stories Discord the other day, and I saw the notification summary and it made zero sense whatsoever. I was like, what? What I would love to see is instead of tapping on the notification summary, it expanding all the individual messages, what I would love to see is go from a 2-line summary to maybe like a 5-line summary that like had a little bit more context in it, that like, oh, okay, I see what this is. I can ignore this. I don't need to deal with it. I don't need to jump into the app and read all of the messages. Just like be able to expand that summary a little bit more. I think that would be a lot more useful for like me deciding like, is this something I need to deal with, or is this something I can just ignore? So the summaries are good. Where I had a lot of hope for the summaries is in the Mail app. So now instead of showing the first 2 lines of a message, it gives you 2-line summary when you're kind of just browsing your inbox. And these are okay, but I had a lot of really bad summaries pop up. For example, when the iPad mini embargo was happening, I got an email from Apple PR, and it said, in the summary, it said embargo lifted. It didn't say date, time. It just made it seem like, okay, never mind, we're changing it, and the embargo is now lifted. Obviously, anyone's going to click through, and anyone that's smart is going to click through and make sure, like, hey, the embargo is actually lifted and not just go off of a 2-line summary in the Mail app. But that could have been really bad because the embargo was not lifted early. It was just another line in that message about like, hey, here's a reminder. This is when the embargo is being lifted and not already up. And then I've had a couple of others that like that just didn't quite make any sense. That were a little fever dreamish, and I'm just like, okay, this needs to be tweaked a little bit. I'm really hoping the summary stuff isn't just a one and done, and Apple thinks like, okay, we did it, great, we can move on. I really hope this is something that keeps getting tweaked over the next year because it could be an absolute killer feature, but you needed the ability to expand upon it a little bit more. The feature I do like is like when you actually open up a message and you hit summarize, because I get a lot of messages that are 5-6 paragraphs long, but they're full of like fluff. They're sales emails or they're sponsored emails or something like sponsored contact emails, and they're trying to like fluff you up a little bit, like make you feel good, and so you'll go and work with them. And I don't care about any of that stuff. Just like literally I am a firm believer. Most emails could be 2 to 3 lines at the most. And so I do like this feature of like, okay, let's cut all the cruft out and just give me like the key points of this. So I do kind of like that feature. But overall, I do think like the summary stuff is good, but it needs to keep getting tweaked.
Yep, that's fair.
I have one thing I want to mention.
Okay.
Because I'm worried about one thing, which is when next year we get Apple Intelligence and the summarize feature, is this going to be multilingual? And by that, I mean, can you have multiple languages enabled at the same time? And I'm worried that it won't be the case because of the way it's working now, where it's just ignoring everything that's not in English. What's going to happen when I set it to French in the settings? Is it going to ignore everything that's in English? Is it going to translate everything? I'm worried about this. I really hope that we will be able to turn on Apple Intelligence in multiple languages at the same time. That's not something you can do with Siri. And that's why also I'm worried. Like I'm worried that they will ship this without changing the way that Siri has worked for years, which is one language at a time.
Yeah, that would suck. Hopefully they embrace the intelligence side of it and add multilingual support. But yeah.
Yeah, LLMs should be able to switch languages, right? That's their strong point.
Yeah, you go to ChatGPT, you type in whatever you want, whatever language, it figures it out.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's a large language model. It should be able to detect what language.
Large language singular, though.
Okay, large language.
We need large languages models.
Large language, one at a time model. Yes. So I wanted to mention this in case.
No, it's a really good point.
Big Apple language is listening.
So Chris, you said summaries are good, but they're not the best Apple Intelligence feature.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
I honestly think it either comes down to reduce interruptions or the fact that Type to Siri has like an actual integration now. So Type to Siri, I forgot to mention in this part, Type to Siri has been around for years. It was an accessibility feature. In fact, it was the way I interacted with Siri on my iPad because I didn't want to use the trigger phrase to actually like do stuff or hold down the button to do stuff on my iPad. When I was working on my iPad, Type to Siri made more sense. But now with Apple Intelligence, you can have both the voice option and Type to Siri enabled at the same time and just use that default interaction. But I don't know if that's necessary. That's not really tied to the large language model of Apple Intelligence. So if I had to pick, I'd probably just pick reduce interruptions.
But it does nothing, Chris. Have you not heard?
I mean, it works for me, except it
works on my computer.
Girlfriend's mom through all the time, so I don't know what to do with that. But yeah, I gotta ask somebody about that because I don't know why. I'm like, what is happening here? But anyways, the last feature I want to talk about is writing tools. I know there's some other stuff in 18.1. If you guys have stuff you want to bring up, we can get to it. But like kind of my favorite features, writing tools was the one that I had the most hope for, and like the one I was the most excited about. I never really used Grammarly or anything like that, just because it didn't work amazing on the iPad. Because like the whole point of Grammarly is you had the plugin and all that stuff. But writing tools, there are a lot of features in here. There's the summarize stuff, there's the rewrite stuff, but really the only thing I care about is the spelling and grammar checker. I'm terrible at that. If you look at my posts on Mastodon or Threads, probably every single one of them has at least one spelling or grammar mistake. I'm absolutely horrible about that. I quit blogging because I was horrible at writing. So I'm really excited about that, but it doesn't work amazing. I don't know. Have you guys used the writing tools feature? Like, what is your guys' experience with it?
I have used it. And proofread for me as well is the thing that I find most useful. I don't like the rewriting tools. I never find those useful.
I will never ever use those. Don't rewrite. I don't rewrite what I'm saying. I don't like that feature at all. I can understand the context of it, especially if like you're not if English isn't your first language and you're having to write an email in English. I could see it being useful for that kind of thing, but I will never use it.
Mm-hmm. But the proofread is a mixed bag for me. So on the one hand, it works amazingly in Apple Notes. So if you write in Apple Notes and you select all the text and say proofread, it has a nice custom UI where it underlines all the things it wants to change for you. You can approve them. You can reject them. It's great. But almost no other apps that I can find do this. I give it like a full blog post with like 1,000 words. I say proofread, and then it says, here's 1,000 words that we think it should be. And there's no diff that you can look at. You can't tell what it changed. And so I just don't use it because I can't tell what it's doing. So what I've done a couple times is write my whole blog post. I write in Ulysses for the iPad and iPhone and Mac, actually. I copy it. I paste it into Notes. I do the proofread there. And then I bring it back to Ulysses, which is not ideal, but it's the only way I can get it to work right now.
Yep. Nope. 100% with you. Like, that's basically been my experience as well. And it's disappointing. I really wanted this, just to work properly in Obsidian because that's where I do most of my writing. And it doesn't work great. So hopefully this is one of those things that keeps getting tweaked. And I kind of feel this is the whole story of Apple Intelligence is none of this stuff is finalized. It's not perfect. I'm really hoping Apple doesn't think it's perfect and starts to move on to the next thing because all of this stuff kind of needs to keep getting tweaked.
Yeah, I use Raycast on the Mac, and I use I have the paid subscription to Raycast, which has the AI features. And I pay for that thing, and I keep paying for that thing for one command that I really like, and that's the one that lets me proofread.
Oh.
And it's done really well in Raycast because you can select anything on a Mac, you trigger the command, and it will output your text and will highlight the changes that it's made. And I mentioned this on App Stories. I have modified the prompt on my end, and I have told it to explain the changes to me as well. So it does this with the highlighted changes, and then right below it just tells me with a couple of bullet points, I made this change because I made this change because. This is very helpful because I'm not a native English speaker, and some of the grammar I still don't get, and it's helped me understand some of that grammar that I don't get. So yeah, that's been helpful. And I'm sad because on the Mac, I've been trying to use the writing tools, and like you said, Matt, they're not as good. And the fact that it just does it blindly, doesn't tell you anything about what it's done.
Yeah.
That's not helpful. Plus, the UI is actually pretty bad. Like, unless you're in Apple Notes on the Mac, I'm talking about the Mac because I don't have it anywhere else. But unless you're in Apple Notes, you can use it in any text field or on any text body on the Mac. But then you gotta right-click, select text, right-click, go to Writing Tools, then select the tool. Then it pop up. It's a floating pop-up that will go away as soon as you click on something else. And when you're inside a text field, if you select text, it will a small bubble will appear that you can click to bring up the writing tools. But that doesn't appear consistently. Like in Ivory, in the compose field, compose window of Ivory, it appears like 1 in 50 times. I don't know what's the pattern here. So yeah, hopefully it gets better.
So that's kind of it for my what I wanted to talk about with Apple Intelligence. I know there's a few other features in there. I'm going to do a whole video like tips and tricks and ways you can actually use Apple Intelligence productively because a lot of these things make for great demos. But once you're outside of that demo context, they can kind of fall down. So I've been using all that stuff. I've been making notes and I've been working on a video. So I'll have that coming soon.
Yeah. The one thing I would also add is I've used Apple Intelligence on and off on 18.1 and 18.2, and battery life seems the same. Maybe if you did some scientific tests, you'd be able to see a difference, but I didn't notice any obvious changes to battery performance. Like my phone gets through a day the same way it always has. So I know that was a worry for a lot of people, but I haven't noticed anything negative myself.
Didn't even think about that. But they also have like their private cloud compute, so some stuff isn't even on the device, and yeah. So has Apple put out like a list of like, hey, here's the stuff that happens on device and here's the stuff that happens off device?
I don't think they have. I'm pretty sure the tech stuff happens on device. I'm fairly confident I've done that with like in airplane mode to like double check. I'm not sure about the image generation stuff that's coming. And then the local context, I don't really know how they're doing that. Like the 18.4 update or whatever, where it can like pull info from your other apps. I have no idea.
All right, Matt, what do you have for us this week?
Oh, I am bringing good vibes, but also kind of conflicted vibes. I'm bringing the brand new surprise Nintendo app, Nintendo Music. Have either of you used this yet?
Yes, I was so excited for it. It like randomly dropped on, what was it, like a Wednesday afternoon or something like that?
Yeah, totally.
So I didn't really get much work done on Thursday because I had other things happening. But Wednesday afternoon, I was doing some writing and some emails and stuff like that. And it was amazing. I just put on a bunch of Animal Crossing music and some Zelda music. And it's the perfect background working music app. It is amazing.
This is what I found as well. So basically the short version of what this is it's a Spotify, Apple Music, but just of Nintendo game music. And it's not a ton. There's probably like 20 games here total. Like, it's not a ton, but it's the big ones that you would want. So I've been listening to the Ocarina of Time soundtrack because I'm a helpless millennial who can't help but love that game because it's great. Breath of the Wild, some Mario music. I need to get into the Animal Crossing one as well. But like, there's music from a bunch of popular Nintendo games. I'm slightly conflicted because Nintendo makes it very hard to get this music any other way, and they have for many years. This is constantly the challenge with Nintendo: is they lock everything down and don't let people use their stuff, even for.
Well, this is we're meeting you halfway kind of thing. Like, okay, you want the music, fine, but you're gonna have to pay us for it.
Yeah, which is kind of how they do everything.
Yeah, because in order to use this app, you have to have a Nintendo Online membership.
You need a Nintendo Switch Online membership to use it. So you can't pay for it individually. You can't just use an app purchase or anything. So it's tied to that. So they're really tying a lot of stuff to that subscription.
Which, I mean, makes it a really good value, but yeah.
Yeah. And so the thing, and Chris, I'm sure this is what you were talking about with using it as a working music thing. A lot of songs in here, the killer feature in this app is on a selection of songs. On the Now Playing screen, there's a button that says Extend to, and then you can make that song 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or 60 minutes.
Yep.
This might be my feature of the year in any software app that I've used. It is so delightful. So basically, what I have now is a Pomodoro timer of Kakariko Village or of the Breath of the Wild overworld music. Tragically, you cannot do it for the Ocarina of Time title screen, which is unbelievable. You should totally be able to do that. And you can't do the Fandora Drifts from Metroid Prime. But anyway, a lot of songs can do it. And it's awesome. It is so, so, so good. It's basically just looping the song, but like they find a good spot to loop so you don't really notice it. And it's just so good. And I'm going through like these other games that I wouldn't necessarily listen to because I didn't play them or love the music or anything. But like, it's just a delightful Nintendo thing. And it just makes me smile, which is a very, very a bit of high praise for software in 2024. Because as we spoke about a few weeks ago, sometimes things suck, and this is it's software that makes me smile. What else can I say?
Yeah, and it's not like it's some amazing native iOS app. It's clearly kind of an Android app that was built in one of those wrappers that allows you to just run it, on both platforms and things like. There's not even an iPad version, but thanks to Stage Manager, I just have it up on the side and it works. It gets the job done. And it's a background music app. It's not something you need to be interacting with a ton, so it's fine. One thing I love is you can create playlists in it, so you can, set it up so that you have a bunch of Animal Crossing music or Zelda music or something like that, and it just plays in the background. It just goes through it, and it's so nice. I absolutely love this. This is hands down like one of the big apps of the year for me, just because it's so, I mean, depending on the music you pick, it's so calm. And it's just nice to have on the background while I'm working. I'm somebody, I can't sit in silence. I need something happening. And this is the perfect kind of thing. Like music with lyrics, I'm going to get distracted. Podcasts, forget about it. There's no way I could work with a podcast on in the background. But this kind of music, it's delightful. It's fun. It's Nintendo music. Like, who doesn't like Nintendo music?
Yeah. If it was just the music, I would not be bringing it to the show. It's that extend option, which is just, it turns it into something that I didn't know I wanted this, but this is exactly what I wanted.
That is the killer feature. It kind of reminds me of, and I don't think it's on Final Cut for the Mac, but Final Cut for the iPad has a bunch of music built into it. And the killer feature about that is you can drag the music to extend to your timeline no matter how long. So if the music is, let's say it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, but you have a 5-minute clip, you can drag it to be 5 minutes long and it'll compile that music essentially for you so that you have a 5-minute track and you don't hear any breaks, because those breaks are what pull you out of it. And I absolutely love that feature. So it's great.
Nice. Yeah. So I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Do you have any video game soundtracks that you adore?
Ooh. I was gonna say, like you, I'm a hopeless millennial, so obviously Ocarina of Time. That's the big one. I feel like for our age group, that's the big one. The Pokemon like Red and Blue and Gold and Silver, those are good. I don't think those are in. I think I only saw Sword and Shield and whatever the new one is that I can't remember the name for.
Scarlet and Violet.
Maybe it was just Scarlet and Violet that are in there. Maybe it's not Sword and Shield.
Yep,
but,
just Scarlet and Violet. But
yeah, no, Nintendo, add the old Pokemon stuff. Absolutely.
Well, they got to have things to announce in Nintendo Directs. These new albums coming to Nintendo Music.
Yeah, we will not be talking about the Switch or the Switch successor.
Yeah.
Oh, Nintendo, just give us the Switch 2 already. People were mad because apparently it leaked that Nintendo was going to announce something this week. And everyone was like, well, obviously it's the Switch 2, no. Switch 2, Switch 2. And it was this.
Fun.
I cannot relate to all those Nintendo fanboying.
Matt, we're old, apparently.
I know.
But I respect you. Good for you. To your question, do I have a favorite piece of music from a video game? And yes, and that is the soundtrack to SimCity 3000.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was beautiful. It was a great jazz album, actually. Great jazz.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's and fun. You don't need a specific app to listen to this. It's just in Apple Music. And the album is an hour long. You can put it on repeat. It works perfect.
Oh,
that's nice. That
I mean, nice. that is it's fine. It's good.
Yeah. No, I respect you. I respect you. Yeah.
But for me, the two that stand out to me outside of the Nintendo world are the Metal Gear Solid soundtracks. I think are awesome, and Final Fantasy X.
Oh,
I love that soundtrack.
Oh, how did I forget about that one? Okay, confession time. I've never got into the Metal Gear Solid games. I cannot follow the storyline whatsoever. I have no idea what's happening. I think I messed up, and a few years ago when Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, that was where I jumped in, and I'm like, what is happening? Why is the intro cinematic like 45 minutes long? Like, what is going on here?
In fairness, that does not make sense.
Okay.
It's brilliant in its own way, but it does not make sense.
Yeah, I tried so hard to figure out what was going on. I probably could have just went and watched YouTube videos to get up, but yeah, Final Fantasy X. That's some great music right there. I didn't even play that. But I saw you put this in the document. And I actually had a surprise plan for you this week, for the both of you this week. And it's Nintendo related. So if you give me just 1 second.
Oh, no.
He's got an next Switch?
It's me, Alarmo.
It's an alarm clock.
No. You did it.
It literally showed up last night. So I haven't had much time with it at all, but I wanted to share it with you guys. It's Nintendo's alarm clock, and I love that Nintendo is being weird right now and just doing the most random stuff. I almost didn't buy this because the whole thing about this is, it has this motion sensor and it detects when you get out of bed, and when you get out of bed, it turns off. But if you're not getting out of bed, the music gets more intense. Well, that all sounds great until you don't sleep by yourself. Let's just don't be creepy. Let's not whatever. But I don't sleep by myself. I have a girlfriend and we live together. So I do not sleep by myself. And so this will not work as an alarm clock for me. But I just love the idea of just a Nintendo clock. So this thing is probably just going to sit on my bed, or it'll just sit on my nightstand and I just won't use the alarm mode. The screen isn't amazing. Like, it doesn't look like you can see the pixels. Like, it's not an amazing screen. It's not like some Retina quality display. It's not even OLED, so like you can definitely see the rectangle where the display is, and like there is just like this black border around it, and it's because it's a square screen in a circular device. So it doesn't.
mean, when has Nintendo ever shipped a good screen, right?
Switch OLED.
I do the Switch OLED.
Oh, that's true. I have that. Okay,
It's
never
an
mind.
incredible screen. One of the best.
That's a great screen. I love
but
that.
Other
one.
than that,
You know what? Since I got the Switch OLED, I don't play the Switch plugged into my TV, even though I have an OLED TV. I pretty much always play the Switch handheld. So yeah, but I like the alarm clock. There's different modes. I have the Awakening Breath of the Wild one set up. So like when I did do a test of the alarm, and it's like Zelda telling Link to wake up, and it's the intro music to Breath of the Wild, and like that whole intro scene and stuff like that. It has fun animations and stuff like that. Like when I set up the alarm and stuff like that, so it thought I was asleep. It had Link sitting next to a campfire and stuff like that, and it dimmed the display. The display itself, when it's dark, there must be a light sensor or something in here. The display gets dark, so like if you're light sensitive at night, this probably won't bother you. I'm extremely light sensitive. Like I need a pitch black room. Overall, fun little tidbit of Nintendo just, being weird, and I love that. I love Nintendo's being weird. The button up top is really nice. Like you can click it, you can rotate it. Overall, really nice. What's weird though is they only have like 4 games of like different animations and music to pick from. They have Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, the Splatoon, which I never got into Splatoon, but I know some people absolutely love it, so whatever. But the 4th one is Ring Fit, and I'm like, wouldn't Animal Crossing? Like Animal Crossing's totally perfect for this thing. Like this is the thing that like why not Animal Crossing? So I'm a little disappointed there. You can connect it to the internet and you can download and there's an option to go in and download more animations and music and stuff like that. So I'm assuming they will update this in the future. Hopefully they add Animal Crossing. Fun fact, it's incredibly annoying to connect to the internet because you have to sit there with this dial and type in your password.
And
I have a very, very long Wi-Fi password.
That's the worst way to enter a password.
But you know what's even weird is it does have the ability to display a QR code and scan it from your phone. So what they could have done is done the thing every other device does and create an ad hoc Wi-Fi network, let your phone and the device pair, share the Wi-Fi information, and then connect to that new Wi-Fi network. But they didn't do that route. So you literally have to sit there and spin this dial. It took so long. And I was like, if I get this wrong and I type it wrong, I'm going to be so unbelievably mad. But yeah, this is the Alarmo. It's pretty cool. It's probably going to end up on my desk just because I can't use the alarm clock feature, like I said. But I'm looking forward to just having this around. It's just like a fun little device.
It's a cool little thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice, good surprise.
Good for you. It's cute.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty cool. And like the animations move. Like if you're watching the video, Link was just swinging a sword. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Is it constantly doing animations like 24 hours a day?
Yeah, like sometimes like he might just be like the character whatever you pick might just be standing still, but like right now Link is walking back and forth, and it's also tied to your movement too. So like if you walk into the motion sensor, like the character marks in too. So like the Mario one, like you can walk to the right and it'll have like a question block box and Mario will jump up and hit it and get a coin or something like that. Or if you walk out of frame, he walks out of frame and stuff like that. So like there's different things that happen motion wise, and it's definitely tied to like you're laying in bed and getting up and stuff like that. But things do just happen when it's like sitting here. Like right now, Link is walking back and forth.
Nice.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Well, is it time to get to our most difficult challenge ever?
This was so hard.
I'm gonna get embarrassed. Oh,
this is how I get canceled right here. All right, Neleon, you had you gave us a challenge to do this week. What did you have us do?
Yeah, so once again, I am sorry. And the challenge was learn a sentence in a language that you don't already speak. I had some little rules for you. Just don't go too hard. Small sentence. Try anything you want, any app you want, or any methodology you want. Like it's free roaming. Just do whatever and come up with a sentence. And I will go first if that's all right with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all right. I was hesitating last week because I myself was struggling with my own challenge. And the rule that it didn't have to be a language that I already speak, I realized that it opened something pretty interesting because here's a small story. 10 years ago, when I arrived in France I was 18 years old. I arrived in France and I was trying to study. And my first choice for a bachelor's degree was a bachelor in Swedish and English, both at the same time. And it did not go well.
Oh, no.
I lasted a grand total of 3 weeks and dropped out. And I went in a completely different direction the year after that. I went to study geography, if you want to know. So here's the thing. I have studied Swedish, but I did not learn any Swedish. That was very unsuccessful. And anyway, so I wanted to try it again. So here's a spoiler. My language is Swedish. But I want you to keep it yours so we can try to guess what your two languages will be. So mine is Swedish. You already know. And I wanted to exploit the fact that I had a grand total of about 6 hours of Swedish 10 years ago. And at the time, I remember that I tried to take notes on an Android tablet in class using a stylus, and like the most terrible stylus you have ever known. And that tablet was a Google Nexus 10 that I won, I believe. I think I won it. Anyway, so I have attached 3 screenshots in the notes for you if you want to look at those notes. Those are the notes from 10 years ago that I took in Swedish class.
Wow.
Oh, dang.
And when I found those in the deepest depths of my iCloud drive, I thought it would be fun to show it to you. I just picked 3 random pages of those notes.
What's interesting for me is that I don't know Swedish or French, so all of this is random to me.
Yeah.
What's really interesting to me is at the very bottom of the third one, is that Elvish from Lord of the Rings?
Yes, it is.
Yes, yes, nailed it.
Yes, it's because when I was bored in class, I would just start writing Tengwa, which is the letters, the alphabet that Tolkien invented for his elves. And yeah, if you see that on one of my notes, it means I was bored at this point and I was just writing whatever using those letters.
I would usually just start drawing lightsabers in school, but yeah, I appreciate that you actually did something more productive.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so even though you know that it's Swedish, I tried to come up using those notes because there's plenty more from those 6 hours, grand of 6 hours. And I used, of course, Raycast AI, like I said earlier, to proofread my sentence. So hopefully it's all right. My pronunciation will be terrible, but at least grammatically it should be all right if ChatGPT is to be trusted. So, yeah, I know. So yeah, here's my sentence. Are you ready? I want you to try and understand what it means. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Hej, jag heter Nilean. Jag talar inte svenska. Och jag hoppas att fascisten inte vinner valet. Chris, Matt, vad talar ni för språk?
You said hi, I'm Neilion?
Yeah. So
I think I got
in the
that
show notes,
bit.
it's written if you want to use the writing to help you. So let me say it again. No, I'm already messing it up. I was so good at this. Jag heter Nilean. So what does this mean? My name is Nilean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then jag talar inte svenska. Je ne parle pas. I was about to translate to French. I don't speak Swedish, that means. Jag talar inte svenska. Then, och jag hoppas att fascisten inte vinner valet.
Oh, I got this one.
Yeah.
You're calling AT&T fascists.
What?
The cellular company in America. That's what this is.
Where is AT&T in there?
It's at ATT. Or you're talking about, or you left out an A and you're talking about the AT-ATs the Empire uses, which are absolutely, they're absolutely fascists. So maybe that, like you just left out an A. I don't know. Never mind.
I'm ashamed to say I don't have a better guess.
Okay.
So that's a pretty bad guess I just gave, Matt.
Yeah. So what it means is, and I hope that the fascists will not win the election.
Oh, okay. So yeah. I did get one word, but it was like the easiest word. So
then there's a second sentence which doesn't count, just because it's a fun thing to add. It says, so Chris, Matt, vad talar ni för språk? Which should mean, I'm not sure, but it should mean, Chris, Matt, what do you speak?
Oh.
Which language do you speak? So,
okay.
You see the transition here? So we can smoothly move into one of you two.
I like it.
Excellent segue.
I'm willing to go next just because I want Matt to go last so people will remember his and not mine. This was incredibly hard. I tried all week. So I had a much more... I had 3 sentences I started off with originally that I was trying, and I'm like, I can't do this. This was a very hard week as it was, and I'm just like, oh, this is tough.
Yeah.
So I took the middle sentence out of what I was gonna say, and I'll tell you what the whole sentence was originally. But okay, all right. I'm so embarrassed to do this. Okay, all right. So my sentence is, and I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna apologize right now. I'm so sorry.
What's about to happen?
So sorry.
It's all right.
I use the Translate app because I've never used Apple's Translate app. When they added it to iOS, I haven't traveled abroad since. Haven't needed it. Never really used it. Opened it up, played around with it originally, but like I deleted it off my phone. Actually, I actually had to go into the App Store and re-add it. And it's a really good app. Like overall, the app is really good. Like there's
it's really
abilities
good,
in there to
actually.
have conversations, translate written words, things like that. It's a really good app. So what I did is I put in an English sentence, and it gave me this sentence. And I'm so sorry. Damn it, I messed it up already. J'aime Dr. Pepper sans cure do a cream soda et la Ford Mustang GT. I'm sorry. It was supposed to be French. I was trying to be like, I'll show Neilion. You give us a challenging challenge. I'll show her. Yeah, it did not. It's supposed to say, I like Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar with cream soda and the Ford Mustang GT.
Well, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, you had proper nouns in there, which makes it a little easier. So those words, Mustang, still Mustang.
Yeah. That's why I kind of felt like I was like, okay, this is cheating a little bit. There's 4 words in here that are still, which I'm kind of surprised there's not French words for cream soda. Like, is that not a French thing? Do you guys not have cream soda?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's why I was like, I looked around for that. Like I spent like 10 minutes just searching around to see if that was a thing and I couldn't find anything. So I was like, okay. But actually, no, I take it back. I have 6 words in here that are, so I don't think I did a great job.
Probably the French Canadians have a word for this because they have a word for everything. Like, because they actively try, I mean, French-speaking people from Canada, I mean, they actively try to translate everything and have a French word for everything, whereas the French from France don't do that. If we don't have a word, we just use the English one, and that goes fine. So I have a question. To work on your pronunciation, you use the Translate app? Is that
Yes, I did. I used the I just used the Translate app, and basically what I did is they have the ability in there to play it, and it'll read the sentence to you, and I just kept playing it and saying parts of it over and over again, and I'm so embarrassed. I recorded myself.
I think you did well. I think.
Really? Really? Oh, man, I recorded myself, and I was like, this does not sound right. This sounds...
Just say it again, the first word.
J'aime les Dr. Pepper.
Just the first word. The first word.
J'aime les...
Okay. J'aime
les Dr. Pepper since... Okay, I'm not gonna... Yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed doing that. Okay, but you know what? If you say it's decent, I'll take it. Because
I think it's decent.
Take it.
Yeah. I will 100% take it because
I think if you say it like that in France, I think someone will get it. Like,
okay. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of like, you know, I'm not.
They will reach out with their ear, like, think for 2 seconds, but then realize what you just said.
Okay, all right. Well, then they would know I like Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar with cream soda and the Ford Mustang. Originally, my original phrase that I was trying to learn was, "Hi, I'm Christopher Lawley," than what I just said. And then at the end, it was going to be "Down with Daft Punk, Van Halen forever."
There's actually no French word for "down with Daft Punk." It's not allowed.
I mean, the Translate app came up with it, but it was just too much for me to learn in this week.
But I agree with you, Apple's Translate app. I wrote an article once on Mac Stories about it. It's come a long way. Initially, it was very basic and too basic. And the translations themselves were not great. But they've become pretty good over the last year, I would say. And the fact that it's integrated anywhere in the OS. Before I had Raycast, and I have a translation extension in Raycast. I used the Apple integration a lot, Apple's Translate integration a lot on the Mac. And I still do sometimes because you can just right-click anywhere, click Translate, and you get a translation.
I've had to use that Translate tool a few times, just like because it's on the iPad too. It's in the context menu that like you can just highlight some text, translate, and for the most part, it's always done a good job for me, like kind of getting the point across and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm glad to hear the Translate app has come a long way. Like honestly, it was really good to use. It was really straightforward. Like if I was traveling abroad, that would be the app I'd make sure I'd have on my phone because it can translate written words. There's a tab in there for having a conversation with somebody where you can pass your phone back and forth.
Yeah.
So that I thought that was a really cool feature, and then just the ability to type in a couple of sentences and it just read it out loud to somebody. So like if you're somebody that's like, I'm completely lost, I have no idea where I'm at, can't talk to anyone, that would solve a huge problem.
Okay, so my guess is that was French.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes, it was French. Yeah. I wasn't trying to hide it too hard.
All right, Matt.
Okay. So I'll just say my sentence, and you guys are gonna have to guess what it is.
Okay.
J'adore les chiennes, mais les chats sont super aussi.
I'm assuming this is French as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Did Matt do a better job than me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was really good.
do you know what I said?
Yes.
J'adore les chiens,
you
mais
love dogs.
la chat sont super aussi.
Okay, I love dogs, but cats are great as well.
Yes.
Huh. Well, way to play the crowd, Matt.
Listen,
now we have to find out if our audience
both
likes
picked French.
Mustangs and
Unexpected.
Dr. Pepper.
I was very scared. I was like, oh, because it was the one that I wanted to learn. I've never learned any French, and I was interested in it. And it wasn't until I was on day 2 or 3 of Duolingo that I was like, this is a terrible choice. Nearly we have a French person on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't use the Translate app. I used Duolingo, which I've never used before.
Oh, really?
Literally never. Like it didn't have the re-download icon on the App Store. It was Get.
Wow. Okay.
So I'd never used it before. I had zero experience with it, and apparently it has better and worse courses. But French is apparently one of the good ones, where it just has the highest production values, the best lessons, and everything. And it is pretty great. Like, it's really it's different from learning in school. In school, I felt like there was a lot more. I did Spanish in high school, and that was a lot more learning like the technical parts of language and like tenses and everything. And Duolingo is definitely, at least the French course seems more like a memorization thing, where it just starts giving you French words, and then you have to translate them. And it starts by like, there's like tiles with all the words, and so you have to like tap the tiles to make the sentence in French. And then the next day it'll ask you to kind of make a similar sentence, but it'll make you like type 1 or 2 of the words. You can't just use the tiles. So you have to remember how to, what the words are and how to spell them. And then I'm on day 7 of my streak right now. And now it's asking me to like, it gives me an English sentence and then wants me to tell it back to it in French. And so I have to like use the microphone on my phone to speak to it in French. And it's actually very good. I'm really impressed with how much I was able to learn. I wanted to say something about liking dogs, and then I was like, but I should say something about cats as well. And conveniently, super, super lucky, the first like couple words they teach you are dog and cat. And so the lessons were just reinforcing all this the whole way. But it's been pretty good. So I'm a convert. I'm going to keep going, I think, and see how far I can get.
Nice.
I've used Duolingo a lot. That's why I didn't want to use it again this week. But I used it a lot for German. I studied German for many years, and I speak a little bit of German still today. But like that German is going away because I don't speak German in my daily life, so it's going away very quickly. I still go to Germany every once in a while, but yeah. And I use Duolingo just to keep my level steady, at least, to not let it fall too rapidly. And yeah, the app, even for German, it's really good. I love the fact that you can have, there's a competitive aspect in there. Like you can invite your friends in the app, and you can, whatever language they are learning, you can compete on how many points you are earning every day, and you can try to pass each other during the week, and you can impose challenges. It's really fun.
Yeah. They also have a very fun widget with like that you can put in your home screen, and it's got like their mascot is a bird, and if you're doing well, the bird is like happy, and right now he's very muscular and he's making a
it's like a Tamagotchi.
But if you're like about to lose your streak, it's near the end of the day, he's going to start sweating, he's going to be like looking at his watch. It's like it's very good.
If you let a few days pass without learning in Duolingo, the widget goes wild.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, it goes really wild.
It's a Tamagotchi. I love it.
It's a terrifying Tamagotchi. I mean, Chris, have you not seen screenshots of this widget? It's become a source of memes.
Is it really?
I've seen it before, but I didn't know what was going on.
Maybe I have, and I didn't link it to Duolingo or something, but I'll look it up after the show.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
that was a
that's
fun
awesome.
one.
Yeah, that was a very challenging challenge, which is the point of them. But honestly, it was fun. I hope I didn't embarrass myself too much. But Matt sounded very good, and Nilian, you sounded perfect. But I don't know Swedish, so we don't know.
I only like you. I used I believe the Google Translate I used to check the pronunciation.
Oh, okay.
And also I had a lot of notes, like I said.
Nice. No, that's awesome.
But I have no idea if that's if that sounded correct. It feels like it sounded correct, but I don't know.
I love it. All right. Well, let's move on. Matt, it is your turn to challenge us for this coming week. What do you have for us?
I have I think, easier one. I'm really panicked now based on my last one that was deemed very difficult. This one is pretty simple. I want us to find the best app on the App Store that has an orange icon.
Huh.
Oh, I love this.
So, way to play up Nilian. Like you're playing for the favoritism here. Okay.
Oh.
I was trying to think of an icon color that not a lot of apps have. A lot of apps are blue and red.
Yeah.
And
I agree. Like that's. I'm sorry. I'm passionate about this. Why are all the app icons either blue, white, black, red?
Yeah.
Never yellow or orange. Like, so, what is up?
Clarification, because Chris, you might be bringing this up. Alternate icons do not count. It must be what you see in the App Store.
Okay. Fair. Okay. Question: does it have to be a new app? Like, does it have to an app we haven't used before? Okay, so it can be an app.
You can bring any app you want. You could have used it for 15 years. That's fine. The goal is to bring the best one. If we bring duplicates, I don't know how we'll handle that, but
okay. Interesting. Okay.
And there's one obvious one to pick, but also I think that's maybe not the obvious best.
Overcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can certainly make a case. Like I think it's a good pick, but
yeah. No,
what if it's one of Apple's apps?
If it's on the App Store, I think it would follow the rules.
Interesting. Okay.
Now,
right. This is
again to reference not friends of the podcast, but friends of the podcast, we'll say the Connected Crew. It lacks passion choosing an Apple app. We'll see. It's not up to us to determine if the passion matters, but it lacks passion.
Okay. All right. What? Okay. Oh man. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one. I have several ideas, but this will be an interesting one.
Oh, good. I had no ideas. That's why I thought I picked it. So we'll see how this goes.
I'm just going through my head of okay, apps. Okay, all right, cool. All right. Well, that just about does it for this week. But before we wrap up, I have a question for you two, like we always do. What is your favorite fiction book?
Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell.
Okay.
Ooh, that's been on my to-read list.
Yeah, I read that more than 10 years ago.
Matt, what about you?
At the moment, I'm remembering that I saw this in the show notes a couple hours ago and told myself I would look up a bunch of books, and I forgot to do that.
Well, I can go first if that
go
helps
for it.
You
yes, please.
I'm very basic in this, but Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Some people consider that to be all one book. Some people consider it to be 3 books. We're not going to get into that right now.
It's 3 books, obviously.
It's 3 books, but I mean, there's versions of it. Anyways, I have a version that's all 3 in one. Whatever, doesn't matter. But it's the Lord of the Rings for sure.
I'm struggling to think of a
He's just looking at books now.
He's really stalling. Matt, just say Dune.
I've tried to read Dune numerous times. I don't enjoy it.
I'm reading it right now. My Danielle got me a really nice hard copy version of it.
Good luck.
I will bring Return of the Dapper Men, which is a illustrated novel, but it is really, really fun, really, really cool.
The way
this,
Matt's holding that
long
book
time
right
ago.
now, like I feel like Neleon and I should get cozy and just ready for story time, and Matt can read it to us.
That could be a patron-only exclusive, which we don't have a Patreon.
Patreon is in a business plan now. Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if it's not my favorite, but it's
It's the one you saw on
it's
the
the one I
shelf
saw
right now.
Yeah, what's my favorite book? Microphone, Steam Deck.
Legos.
Legos,
Alarmo.
yeah. History of Lego.
Anyways, all right. Well, that just about does it for the show. Do either of you have anything you want to promote this week?
Yeah, Mastodon stuff, Neleon stuff, Mac Stories stuff.
Perfect.
That's a lot of stuff.
I will promote a video I just made about how you can use the Option key on your Mac to do a whole bunch of cool things you maybe didn't know about.
I love that.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm very curious about it. So even though I'm not much of a Mac user, I'm gonna go check that out.
Most of them I think work on the iPad too.
Ooh, okay. Very interesting. All right. Well, that just about does it this week. I'm Christopher Lawley. YouTube stuff, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't matter. That was a terrible extra. I'm going to do that again. Well, that just about does it this week. Huge thank you to Mac Stories for having us. We are a Mac Stories podcast after all. And we'll talk to you all next time.
Bye-bye.